Well, guys, Trump's economic policy, the money president Trump, his economic policy has not exactly been as helpful to the average American and their wallets as I think we all, well, none of us were expecting him to be helpful, but then we all, in terms of America, the majority of American voters who elected him, thought that he'd be. When you look at the polling during the election on what issues mattered the most to voters, by far the most important issue was the economy. When you watched videos of people just asking randos on the street who they were voting for and why, the ones who said Trump almost always said the economy. And even immigration, which was second or third on the list, ties into the economy, right? Because Trump has pushed this idea that immigration hurts it, right? And so his whole tariff policy, despite being very popular as he came into office, I think we're kind of realizing just how bad it is, aren't we? In fact, Trump is only ramping up the tariffs. While in some cases delaying them, he's still increasing them. So when they do hit, they're going to hit hard. And I don't think most Americans are aware of just how serious it's going to be. You might occasionally scroll through YouTube shorts and see, like, you know, random skits and whatnot. This is one that came up for me the other day by a guy who does, like, I guess he works at a car dealership, or did, and now he makes shorts about it. So here's one of his shorts, and this is the one that came up in my recommended recently that I thought it was very funny because it shows that people in certain industries are not able to be manipulated into believing this is good. Like, if you work in the auto industry, you know how bad this is. Like left or right, you know what's happening right now is a problem. And I think this short, while being very funny, also does a good job of kind of depicting both the fact that people who know this industry, or these industries that are being affected, are fully aware of how bad this is going to be, and just how ignorant so many Americans are, and how willfully ignorant, I should add, they are. This is a good short. This is I just want to show you this before we get into the full breadth of the topic.
2001, 2002.
Hey man, you a salesman?
That depends. What do you want?
I'm thinking about getting myself a Jeep Wrangler.
A Jeep Wrangler?
Yeah.
Oh, absolutely then. But you better make it quick. Today's April 2nd. The tariffs start tomorrow, so you better hurry up.
Yeah, okay, buddy. I know your sales tactics.
It's not okay. I have all these Jeeps right over here. Pick a color, any color.
I don't care about color. I need the best price.
Best price?
Yes.
They're all the same price, sir. You're looking today's price only.
Up. I don't need your dealership sales tactic. Today's price, tomorrow's price, same thing.
No, it's not. The tariffs start tomorrow, so when the tariffs start, the prices go up.
Yeah. Okay, buddy. Show me the numbers on the blue one.
All right, sir, on that Jeep, like I told you, I have today's price only. Special 1.9% financing and $761 a month. Today only. So do you want to sign? Or...
I mean, this all looks good, man, but I'm going to go ahead and talk to my wife, and I'll be back tomorrow.
I'm telling you, I don't have this price tomorrow. The tariffs are going to start.
Yeah, sure, buddy. This ain't my first rodeo, okay?
Okay.
Hey, man, I'm back. I talked to my wife, and I'm ready to take the deal on that Jeep.
What Jeep deal? Oh, this one right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's not available no more.
Why not?
Your price now is $1,761 a month, okay? At 8.9% financing. Do you want it?
Oh, my God, wow.
The tariffs hit.
1 to
Remember I was telling you the tariffs?
8.9.
I mean,
You heard about the tariffs, right?
2001, 2002.
The 1 to 8.9% is fucking crazy. He's a sleazy salesman, but he's our sleazy salesman. Well, I mean, like, car salesman or no, like, he was just being straight up like, sorry, the prices have to go up once the tariffs hit. Like yeah, it's gonna happen. And to be fair, with this whole auto dealership thing, because the auto industry is what's getting hit the hardest right out the gate, and that's what we're going to be getting into here. What that really does a good job of depicting is the fact that people don't trust car salesmen. It's kind of like iconic that you don't trust car salesmen, right? And so a lot of Americans will probably see dealerships talking about these problems. In fact, I've seen what they respond with, and they say, this is just dealerships trying to get more cars out of the lot, right? And usually 99.9% of the time saying that would be true. This time though, it's a lot more serious. This industry is about to get hit hard, and not in the sense of like, oh, everything's going to drop in price and, you know, no one's going to be making enough money. No. Everything's going to be so expensive, no one's going to be able to afford a new car. Maybe even used ones once the market there starts to get real dried up. Let's watch.
A Pennsylvania auto dealer says that because of Trump's tariffs, sticker prices for new cars and trucks are already higher.
Oh, keep in mind, by the way, this particular video is from a month ago. Trump has upped the tariff prices and is also raising the tariff percentages, like how high the percentage is on the tax when they come in through customs. And remember, when it comes to U.S. auto manufacturing, its core resources or materials needed to make cars, to make parts for cars even, all that is imported. They're called inputs when it's like raw materials imported into the country for manufacturing here, and Trump's tariffing that too. So it's not even going to encourage people to buy American, because making American's about to get a lot more expensive than it already was. And trust me, that price that it already was exactly why we weren't making a lot of shit American to begin with. We didn't need it getting more expensive.
A new analysis says the tariffs drive up the price of a new vehicle by about $12,000. And Ford CEO Jim Farley has said that if these 25% tariffs kick in, they would, quote, blow a hole in the U.S. industry that we've never.
Now, I don't really drive, so what time of year do people tend to buy cars? The winter time, like around Christmas, the summer when it's like most apt to drive around and go on a road trip or something, the spring before that? Summer is when people buy the most cars? Well, don't just pull that out of your ass. You know, if you know, you know. But if you don't, then you might want to look it up before you tell me. But like, if you know for sure, then I guess summer. Is it summer that's apparently? So I guess this summer when people really start buying a lot of cars, that's when you're going to see a lot of people on social media being like, why are cars impossible to afford now?
Never seen. The White House says there could be an update on Trump's tariff plan later
around
today.
now,
It could include a carve-out for automobiles. Let's bring in David Keller, who owns David Dodge Chrysler Jeep and Ram in Glen Falls, Pennsylvania. Sir, thank you so much for being with us. I wonder what all this back and forth has been like for you as the owner of a car dealership.
Well, yeah, it's been a little trying, Boris. These are extreme potential hardships. So, it puts my business at risk.
Do you have a sense of which cars could become more expensive, if there are any that would become so expensive that they become cost ineffective and therefore manufacturers stop making them?
Well, we build our heavy-duty Ram in Mexico. That's the 2500, 3500 cab, and a large, the ProMaster vans that go to commercial customers. And then we also build our Compass, which is our economy car, our smaller SUV for the Jeep line, as well as, ironically enough, the Wagoneer S, which is the new electric vehicle, which surprisingly came out of the gates very strongly. And
you know what I think? All right, I'm gonna give you guys a little flashback to the past, okay? Post 1940s, pretty much all of Europe was recovering from World War II. Like, England post World War II looked like a battlefield. London post World War II looked like a fucking battlefield. It was insane how absolutely fucked all of Europe basically got by World War II, right? Japan was probably the most ahead in terms of the market when it came to most of like the Asian continent as well. That and Russia. Well, not even Russia really. I wouldn't say they were markedly competitive. They were just like a large, powerful country. And we all know, Japan also got pretty fucked up by World War II. And so the U.S. Got to experience this like era of very prosperous competition for America. Like, America was at the top. There was very little competition. Everyone was buying from America because of all the factories getting destroyed in Europe and what have you. Everyone's buying from America, which means everything's getting made in America. There's like, even if you're a high school dropout or like a middle school dropout, you can go get a factory job. And because back then we're post like several horrible Republican administrations that pretty much irreparably, as far as we know, have damaged the economy, you could kind of almost survive comfortably off of a what was considered low-skill labor job. And over time, naturally, the rest of the world started to recover from the biggest war that had ever existed at that time. And, they started to catch up, and we started to outsource labor because it stopped being as profitable to make things here when we realized, China, like they don't, we can just like set up basically sweatshops to make clothes there and sell them way cheaper in the US, and then we can just sell more and make more money off of higher volume and lower cost to produce, right? And this is how this like globalization kind of really blew up. But people associate the era of going into work at a low skill labor position and making enough to live off of pre-housing market crashes, like a dozen at this point, pre-recessions, several at this point. Like back before all of that, things were kind of economically stable in the US. There were problems. There were definitely problems. The Great Depression happened even before that. But like things were in a good spot and people felt pretty confident, economically speaking. And people associate manufacturing leaving the US with the end of that era of that Renaissance era of the US market. And the Republicans have skated on this idea since they destroyed the US economy themselves, that era ending and that losing US manufacturing is why our economy sucks, why our jobs don't pay enough, why our rents and our bills and our everything are too high, why inflation is so high. They've basically managed to manipulate people into thinking everything modern is the cause of everything bad, because a lot of the things that are bad, even if they were a problem back then, they've built this sort of rose-tinted goggles view of the past that everybody longs for. And as things get worse, people long for the past that that the Republicans or conservatives mythologize even more. And it drives them towards the right because the Republicans are promising them we can go back to that. The left kind of is, but the left isn't trying to sell a fairy tale, right? The right's selling a fairy tale that everyone wants to believe can happen. Trump promises, unbelievable levels of success for the U.S. economy and destroys it. It was a fairy tale. But, the left tends to push realism, and that's not always as exciting.
It would impact all of those vehicles, as well as in Canada, the Pacifica and the other electric vehicle that we're producing right now, full electric, is the Charger and Challenger. So all of those vehicles would be impacted in a great way and basically make them unsellable, because that type of price increase in a sensitive market like we're at would basically just negate the value of the vehicle.
Right. I wonder, and this may sound like a sort of weird philosophical question, but I wonder how you would define an American vehicle, because these are American brands, but yet they're largely manufactured in Canada and Mexico. So when someone like Trump talks about buying American made, what does that actually mean?
Well, the administration's goals are admirable. Number one, bringing jobs back to the United States and these assembly plants back to the United States. And also, getting support from both of those countries as regards to immigration and fentanyl. So I support all of those measures. However, taking this extreme measure now, I mean, we were...
This is what's so frustrating as well, because when they falsify the narrative that if you're against them, you're against stopping fentanyl from coming into the country, when what you're really against is stopping like families from being ripped apart and citizens from getting deported. It's like they create this narrative in order to fictionalize your position before you've even made it, should you dare to try and disagree with them.
We're in NAFTA. NAFTA was clearly defined, and the companies made investments to that end. And we can't turn them on a dime and build a $4 billion facility, assembly plant, in the United States in a couple of weeks. I mean, that takes 3, 4, 5 years
Yeah.
to accomplish something like that, and much planning. So,
like, Trump could not possibly get U.S. manufacturing started here until like after this term has ended. Assuming he goes for a third, maybe if he wins somehow, he can preside over that. But even if this brings U.S. manufacturing back, it won't. Probably not. Especially with the input tariffs, it'll just be too expensive. Even if it did, it would take more than 5 years, I would bet, to even see substantial amounts of manufacturing enough done here that you could actually buy American to avoid the insane tariff price hikes.
To attack it in that manner, I think it's kind of like you've got a wart on your finger and you're going to cut off your arm. It's just the impact to the economy, and we're not the only ones. Stellantis is the only ones. Sure. I mean, Chevy's got investments in there. Ford has investments in there, and meanwhile, the Germans and the Japanese have no tariff impact. So they haven't changed. Their model hasn't changed a bit.
Sure,
so
David,
I hate to
interrupt.
Less competitive in the United States.
I hate to interrupt, but we have just gotten word from the White House, Caroline Leavitt, the press secretary, in the press room, announcing a 1-month extension of some tariffs. Let's listen to this soundbite together, David.
We spoke with the big 3 auto dealers.
Remember, Trump just keeps pushing them back. So if it does hit, it's going to hit slow. With Trump's like allowing 5 or 6 countries to get tariffed at a time so that the economy just kind of boils into hell slow enough that a lot of people get used to it, or a lot of MAGA can rationalize it and get used to it. It feels like he's trying to boil the frog on annihilating the U.S. economy for no reason.
We are going to give a 1-month exemption on any autos coming through USMCA. Reciprocal tariffs will still go into effect on April 2nd. But at the request of the companies associated with USMCA, the president is giving them an exemption for 1 month so they are not at an economic disadvantage.
This all happened a month ago, and people were scared. They were freaking out. There was a lot of conversation about how could this go? How could this end up affecting the auto industry in the future? It was like, how will it affect? Because they didn't know yet, right? Well, right now, all the headlines are about the fact that currently the auto industry is like it's gotten so bad that Trump seems to be second guessing himself. Even Trump knows it. It's time to ditch the tariffs that are slowing the economy. Oh, don't need that pop-up. President Donald Trump, wait, hold on. President Donald Trump was in his element this week, returning to my home state of Michigan on April 29th for a rally marking the 100th day in office of his second term. Trump held his last big campaign rally on the eve of November election in this battleground state, so it made sense that he'd want to return to the place that helped him win back the White House.
We're here tonight in the heartland of our nation to celebrate the most successful first 100 days of any administration in the history of our country,
Trump said at the event.
We've just gotten started. You haven't seen anything yet.
We've certainly seen a lot in the last 100 days, and plenty of it has been good. And what the American people wanted, perhaps, however, Trump should take his own words to heart and do a reset of sort. And certainly seen a lot, and plenty of it has been good and what the American people want. I guess technically, yeah, it has been what the American people wanted with the mass deportations and everything. I was confused, like, I guess technically. Perhaps, however, Trump should take his own words to heart and do a reset of sorts, as if we hadn't seen everything yet. The economic warning signs are flashing, and at this point, Trump should just pay attention. Ahead of his visit to Michigan, Trump seemed to acknowledge the need to trim his tariffs, at least for the auto industry. He signed executive orders offering temporary relief for automakers from import taxes. Trump originally ordered 25% tariffs on all imported vehicles and auto parts. He is literally like stumbling his way and flip-flopping around and pretending like this is all part of the plan. amazing, genuinely amazing. It's telling that he gave his 100-day speech in Michigan, the state that is likely to be the hardest hit by the president's chaotic tariff rollout. The auto industry is king here, and it stands to suffer severe blows if Trump doesn't scrap these plans. The day after his stop in Michigan, the country got some tough news. The economy had its worst quarter in 3 years, as the gross domestic product shrank in the first few months of the year, which was directly tied to how companies responded to the threat of tariffs. This is not the kind of news that Trump nor his supporters want to see. And while he'd like to still blame his predecessor, Joe Biden, for the lackluster results, Trump will have to own the economic reality sooner than later. Ahead of the rollout of the original tariffs, Michigan-based Anderson Economic Group analyzed their impact on the price of cars, as well as the industry. The U.S. consumer impact the first year was estimated at $30 billion. An AEG found that tariffs are likely to add anywhere from $2,500 to $20,000 to the price of each new car, depending on the vehicle and where it's made. That's a sizable hit to consumers, and it will also have significant consequences for the industry, including to job losses. Why can't I read today? Even with the short-term relief, car prices in the industry will still be hurt. Trump got elected to improve the economy, and he needs to deliver. Trump is absolutely right that the Biden administration's policies occasionally hampered the economy. His obsession with tariffs, however, goes against the conservative free market playbook, and for good reason. Tariffs are taxes on imported goods that are transferred to the consumer, you and me. And although Trump seems to believe that he can use tariffs to negotiate trade deals and bring more manufacturing jobs back to the United States, including Michigan, I don't think most Americans are willing to accept the increases in costs of everyday goods that strategy entails. That's especially true coming after years of Biden-fueled inflation. This seems like a pretty pro-Trump article, is the funny thing. Like, this article is making incorrect statements to shit on Biden and to, like, call Trump good, but is still calling out Trump for the fact that he's destroying the economy. Like, I think the article writer of this is a Republican or a Trump supporter who can't even hide the fact that they are panicking at what Trump is doing right now. If that's true, chef's kiss. The confusing tariff rules and the fact they're constantly changing prove that this isn't an effective way to boost the economy. Trump should focus instead on working with Congress to pass tax cuts and slash regulations, as he promised. Yeah, so this is like a classic Republican, like a proper Republican watching Trump destroy the economy. Like, he's not doing all the tax cuts and the deregulation that you're supposed to do as a Republican. What's this tariff deal? Most important, as I've noted before, Trump's unilateral tariffs exceed the power granted him by Congress in the Constitution, and lawsuits, including one filed by the Pacific Legal Foundation, are pushing back against that overreach. I think Trump does what's best. Wait, this is the creator of the article saying this. I think Trump does want what's best for America, but he's very wrong when it comes to tariffs. So this is literally a Trump supporter who still believes Trump wants what's best for America, but his economic policy is just wrong. The fact that they're not just trying to warp reality to make it seem like he is making the economy better, and he is getting criticized by his own supporters, even if it's as soft as they can manage, I think that means something. This is just the auto industry, by the way. That is how severe this ended up being. A month ago, I don't think many would have predicted the fact that conservative outlets would be calling out Trump on his tariff policy with how bad it was going to impact the economy. People were really laughing at the left for saying these tariffs were going to be harmful. And now you've got people like Candace Owens, who we'll be getting to later, these like conservative article writers and whatnot, even they're calling out Trump. We really have entered a almost upside down America at this point in every way. Anyway, if you watched this far into the video and you want to let me know you saw all the way to the end, why don't you leave a comment down below saying, what should your comments say? How about free the truck nuts? If you know what truck nuts are, then you're a true American. And considering we're talking about the auto industry and dealerships and whatnot, comment that. Comment that. Comment something about the truck nuts. Free the truck nuts, exactly. Free the truck nuts, guys. Comment that down below if you watched all the way to the end. It does help immensely when it comes to the algorithm, as YouTube boosts your content based on the amount of engagement it gets from your viewers. So definitely consider leaving that comment. It really does help. The same goes for if you hit the like button. Make sure that you drop that thumbs up. It's totally free, and it really does help whether you're watching live or after the fact. Both likes and comments are the best way to support my channel. And don't forget to subscribe and ring the bell icon to turn on all notifications so that YouTube actually tells you when I go live or upload new videos in the future, because if you don't, they won't. And of course, if you want to see more from me in the future on other platforms, you can follow my social medias linked down below. I especially recommend you join my fan Discord. It's the main hub of my community and fan base. And every week on Fridays, I host gaming events, call-in streams, watch parties, or movie nights, such as tonight, when I'll be hosting a watch party of The Boys after stream today. I hope to see you guys there in the Discord. I also announce all my new uploads and streams there, so you won't miss anything. Make sure you join the Discord, link in the description. And finally, if you want to support me directly, financially, you want to help me keep the lights on and a roof above my head here at the Xander Hall studio, then please consider donating, subscribing, or gifting a sub on my website, xanderhall.com/live, or support me through YouTube, Twitch, Streamlabs, Stream Elements, Patreon, or buy some custom Xander Hall merch through the Streamlabs link down below in the description. Regardless of how you support me, though, thank you so much for watching, as always, and have a good one.